Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Sasha Reade. Thank you so much for coming to join me today. Today I've got a really fun tutorial using something we all have, toilet rolls. So I thought I would share this with you. This is something I made ages ago, way back in the day, and it was a really common popular tutorial. We're going to make a little mini album or book, keepsake, out of toilet rolls. So I thought this would be a fun project given we've all got so much of it seems, at the moment. To get started, you're going to need some paint. I have got this chalk finish paint. I got this from Every Crafts a Pound for £1. And it is a really thick paint. So you need something that is like an acrylic or an oil, something that will cover up that craft cardstock and not be so thin and see-through. You need a hole punch as well as some designer paper of your choice. I kind of went with this paper because it sort of matched one of the colors. I'm going to share with you two different books. And so I will share with you those two and I'll use both paints. You'll also need some tags, or I'm going to share with you how to make your own tags to fit your mini album. I've also got some string or thread, ribbon, anything like that will do. It's great for the end of your tags and possibly to bind your book if you haven't got anything else. A paintbrush is also obviously handy for getting that paint on. Here I am just getting started. I gave my paint a bit of a stir because it's a tub of paint, therefore it kind of settles a bit. So I gave that a little stir. I keep a chopstick on my desk because it's really handy for things like that. So the first thing you're going to do is just cover your whole entire toilet paper roll. You're going to do all of them. You can do as many or as few as you like, however big you want your album or your book to be. You're going to paint the whole entire outside and do one of the ends on the inside. You could do both, but I don't really see much point in doing both given we're going to seal up one of those ends. So make sure you do the inside because that will be visible from the outside. So again, you're just going to paint the outside, cover up all those bits, and just do the inside. Now, I left mine to dry for a couple hours, went and did something else, because obviously you need it fully dry before you do the next step. So as I said before, you could also use some acrylic paints. These ones are really quite good for doing these little tubes because you don't need that much, although you will need maybe one of each color for each tube kind of thing because they're quite small. But maybe a little goes a long way depending how frugal you are. So once they're all done and dry, we're going to flatten them. You can do this step beforehand, which might also help with the paint cracking. I didn't think about that with a chalk paint, but you could do that before. What I'm doing here is I'm just folding them, squishing them and flattening them. You could use a butter knife for this to flatten them. I'm using what's called a bone folder, and this is a bit of scrap paper. I just didn't want to press directly onto those rolls because I didn't want the paint to come off. So when you stack them up, make sure that you've got, oh no, sorry, we're going to measure the paper first. So you're going to measure your toilet paper roll, and you want to kind of go just slightly smaller than the width and the height of your roll. So I went a bit too small on these green ones. You'll see on the blue ones I've gone a little bit bigger on my paper to make sure there's less of a big border. So it's up to you how much you wanted that paint showing. So I'm just trimming down my paper to go onto the toilet roll. What you need to be aware of at this point is if you've got a designer paper and the direction of the pattern, if you've got a pattern. So I am cutting mine so that the length is the longer side on my pattern paper. The longest length is the length of my pattern paper. I don't think I'm making any sense. But basically you want to make it so that your paper is going in the right direction when the album comes together. So pay attention to those patterns on your paper. Then we're going to adhere them onto our rolls. So I've cut out 3 different styles for my rolls. You can use a glue stick, you can use liquid glue, use whatever you've got on hand. The only thing is that with a glue stick, I'm not 100% sure how well it will stick to your chosen paint. With liquid glue, you've got a lot better of a chance that it's going to adhere. So I would recommend using the liquid glue. So what you want to do is lay down that liquid glue in a nice thin even layer. You could use a paintbrush to spread this around. You could put it in a little pot if you have a child that wants to do it, to make it easier. Then what I do is I put something heavy on it, so a dictionary, a book, something like that on the top to help weigh it down until that glue dries. And make sure that that glue does dry before you move on to the next step. Otherwise it might start to peel off a little bit and it might start to curl. So I do all my sides. I've done the fronts and the backs. And as you can see, I made an oopsie. So there's that page. Oh, it's upside down. So just be aware again of your pattern paper and the direction it's going. Now you also want to make sure at this point you've got all the colored ends all facing the same direction, because we're going to now bind the book, and with binding the book you got to make sure that those ends are all together because we want to use the opposite end. Now an easier way would probably be to use a standard hole punch. This is all I had lying around, so I was kind of working my way through guessing where those holes should go, which is really frustrating because I can't see through this hole punch, so I couldn't trace the circles and then see where I was going. I just had to make do. So once all those holes are punched, and somehow I miraculously did it and didn't muck up, you're going to cut some ribbon. If you haven't got something else to use, you're going to see in the next book that I've done that I've got some of these split rings, and they're quite handy. If you haven't got anything, then ribbon, twine, thread, that will all work really nicely. So first I tie it in a knot and then try and work out how tight or loose I need it to be, because obviously this book is going to need to open and fold flat. And so now you can see I can't get it open because the edge is too close to that ribbon. So I just kind of played around for a little bit until I got it to a width or a length in which I could lie the book flat when I opened it. So then I just sort of made my bows the size I liked, trimmed off that excess ribbon, and did the same on the other hole. So as you can see, it folds nice and flat. Now you could use some pre-made tags. These are tags I made using a Stampin' Up! Punch, but they're quite a lot narrower than the width of my toilet paper roll. So I will share with you in a minute how to cut your own that matches the width of your toilet roll if you haven't got tags. But I just wanted to share with you have got tags, then you can just make use of those, slot them in, and then you've got these nice little pulley out tabs. So this first version I'm sharing with you is the very basic version of this book, which is perfect for children, perfect if you haven't got much time to craft, perfect if you want something simple. So here's my little example on how you make a tag. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to measure the width and take it in a bit, just like we did with the paper, because you've got to account for the fact that there's those creases and it needs to slide in and out easily. The next bit that you want to think about is the length. Obviously you've got those holes in there, so your tag is not going to slide all the way into the bottom. So if you want your tag to measure exactly the length, then you are going to measure from those holes to the end of your toilet roll. Now, however, I wanted mine to come out a little bit further, so I went to 10 centimeters so that I could have it poke out just a bit, because I was going to put that ribbon on. I want the ribbon to be kind of shown off a little bit, and then people know there's something in there. So I've cutting mine at 10 centimeters. And then now I'm going to share with you a little trick. I shared this in my last video. In order to make exactly the same corners on your tag, you're going to cut one corner first, then you're going to take it, flip it over, and put it on the other corner. Then you're going to cut along that edge. If you do this little trick, you will get an exactly symmetrical tag, which is quite nice. I tend to cut my corners off at too steep of an angle and I get these sort of funny looking tags. You just want to snip a little bit of the corner off. I always end up with too much. Then you're going to take your hole punch a hole in the middle, and you've created yourself a nice little tag that will fit in there. And it will fit perfectly into that toilet roll. Now to take the ribbon or thread or twine, whatever you've got to hand, I love using like thread that yarn or something that you would get in a sewing shop. Like that always works really cute on a tag. You want to feed it in through the back of the tag to the front, and then you get that nice little curved bit on the front, and makes your ribbon look quite nice and neat and tidy. So as you can see, this tag slots in and slides perfectly, and just that nice little edge sticks out. So I'm going to share with you a little idea I had. I thought if you've got kids at home or someone you know is a bit lonely, you could send one of these to them. You could start by going through your stash, having a look. What stickers have you got? What embellishments have you got? What shiny stuff have you got, basically? And I have these peel-off stickers that I've had for years when I very first started doing card making. They now all belong to my daughter, so I raided her stash. And I thought I would pop one of these little metallic flowers on. I just wanted to do something simple to show you how you could use what you've got in your house to make this quick little album. So I'm going to pop that sticker on the top. I'm sorry I'm out of the screen there for a minute. And then I'm just sharing with you here that you could use a stamp if you've got stamps. If you have a nice marker, a silver, a gold, a black, a copper, you could write something on the front. I've got these little peel-offs that say "with love," and I'm just going to pop those on there. I'm sorry if you can hear my dishwasher. I'm trying to do this voiceover late at night. I've had a lot of complications with my computer. It completely died, so I'm using my husband's, and I've got to record really late at night because he's got to do a lot of work at the moment. So here we are, we've got our tags, and this is one of the little ideas I thought of. We've got grandparents that are missing the kids, and I thought, what if we make them a little album that we could send them? And now this is where you can pretend this is my daughter making this. She could stick on a couple of photos on one of the tags, and then could write a personal little message. So I'm just kind of writing as if a child or someone else is writing this. So you could have one of those little tags have a message, and then you could have each of the tags have a little photo. You could decorate these tags a bit. Just be mindful of embellishments because they will make them bulky and they might not slide into the little pocket very easily. So this is just a very quick, simple idea of something you can make, pop in the post, pop around to your neighbor, something like that. I'm going to step it up now. I'm going to share with you, if you are an avid crafter and you've got more craft supplies, I'm going to give you a little bit of an idea of what you could kind of start with if you want to take this to another level. So here's all the supplies I used for this one. This is my blue one, which I used 4 rolls. I have used all these things. Most of them are from AliExpress, and where I can, I will put the links in the description box below for you if you'd like to take a look. This is just me going through my stash and having to dig around and having a look at what I've got and what I can use. So, in the beginning, I've got these split rings on the ends that I use to hold the book shut. I have got these little embellishments here and these little cool little rings. I'm not sure what they're called. They're like a pin, like a safety pin. And they're quite neat. I got them from AliExpress. They come in a big box with loads of colors. I think there are a lot of other color options as well. But they're basically a glorified safety pin. So they pop open just like one would. And you can just hook your little charms on and hang it on anything. So I think Erica, Scrap Diva 29, shared these on her channel and I bought some. These little charms are from Alina's shop. You get all those charms and a few more because my daughter's nicked some. There are tons in there, something for everyone. They are fully, properly metal charms. They are heavy. They are gorgeous. They all have a little ring on them, so you can use them as a keychain, a necklace, earrings. These little flowers were from one of my recent AliExpress hauls. I got this bundle of all the colors. They all come with matching pearls in the right color. And these little spots on the back, which is where I put my adhesive. Now, this "You Are Loved" sentiment comes from this Tailored Expression stamp set. I love these stamp sets. They come with a coordinating die set that cuts out every sentiment in one go, and they do them for all occasions. They're expensive, well, in the UK, but worth it. These embellishments are ones that I got from AliExpress. They're die cuts I've made, and these are little adhesive, self-adhesive enamel dots, and I love putting them on things. They've also come from AliExpress. These are some embellishments I've made with various dies that I have, and that's kind of the gist of my book. Now, we're going back to the split rings. I forgot to cover that. And I tied on some ribbon to kind of help with the split rings from rotating around too much. I've got every single tag, and the ends are done with these eyelets. And here's my oopsie. I didn't pay attention when I was stamping, and I stamped the wrong side and put the embellishment on the wrong side. So I will go back and redo all these so that my tags face the right direction when you pull them out. But I wanted to send a little bit of inspiration to a friend. So I stamped all these little inspirational sentiments and popped them in. And they all come from Crafter's Companion. I've got a whole bunch of them, and they're brilliant. So I thought this would be just a little encouragement book for someone. So I hope you enjoyed it. Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention is I took my silver pen and I ran it around the edges of all my tags. So you can just see a hint of silver on the edges of those. Now, obviously you can decorate it more, you can bling it up more, but I just thought it would be a fun little book to do. And it only really took about an hour to make in total, well, for the more complicated ones. It really didn't take long at all. And it got me looking through my stash of embellishments. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you stay in and stay safe, and please do drop me a comment. Let me know if you've enjoyed this, and let me know if you'd like to see more of these lockdown videos. Thank you. Bye.